everybody, Kristen here, sports dietitian, certified personal trainer, and owner of Elite Nutrition and Performance. I am here to talk to you about which is better. Is it plant-based or meat-based for building muscle? So plant-based, let's talk about what plant-based is, because I think there's so much confusion about it. So certainly plant-based could be that you are a vegetarian or you are a vegan, so you don't eat any meat, and there's varying levels of that if you're a vegetarian. So you could be lacto-ovo, meaning that you eat eggs and you do dairy, or you don't do any of that at all. You could do one or the other. And then really plant-based actually boils down to that you can still eat meat, but you mostly eat plants. So, you know, grains, fruits, vegetables, that type of thing. And of course, meat-based would be that you don't really necessarily, follow one way or the other, but you certainly do eat meat. So we're going to talk about which is the best way to go in terms of building muscle. So meat is one of those foods that really contains a full amino acid profile. And what that means is amino acids are the building blocks of protein. So protein is what we need to build muscle. It's also what we need to basically keep our cells, our organs, our blood, everything intact in our bodies. Our bodies are constantly in a catabolic state, which means that it's constantly being broken down. And so we need to put back into our system what we have been taking out of it all day long. So meat, so things like could be chicken, it could be dairy, so yogurt, or a glass of milk, or it could be eggs, fish, any of those things actually contains more amino acids than plant-based, so something like beans or quinoa, that type of thing. So it's going to contain more amino acids and specifically contain more leucine. So leucine is the one amino acid that is directly responsible for turning on muscle protein synthesis, which is essentially building muscle. It's kind of like a light switch when you take in leucine and you take in enough of it. So plants, unfortunately, have a lower digestibility score, which means that we don't actually digest them and absorb them as well as things like meat and dairy, eggs, that type of thing. And also they don't contain as much amino acids and specifically leucine. So with that being said, unfortunately, meats are going to be better for you in terms of building muscle. However, plants are also going to be good for the environment. They're also going to be good for your health. So in certain studies, they have actually found that soy is going to be inferior on muscle protein synthesis after a lifting session. So soy is a great source of protein that is plant-based. However, when we're rating the different types of proteins, like protein powders or protein drinks that you can get, typically the three would be whey, casein, and soy. They actually found that whey is the best, and whey is coming from dairy. Soy would be right in the middle, and then casein would be last in that. And that would be at rest or after a lifting session in terms of muscle protein synthesis. So again, building muscle. So soy is actually somewhere in the middle. It's not awful, but it's certainly not the best either. So there's three options that you can actually do in order to build muscle and still be plant-based. So one would be to up your protein content at each meal. So let's say you are a vegetarian or you're a vegan, and beans and quinoa would be a typical meal for you. You would just simply eat more of these foods because these are your protein containing foods in that meal. The other option is to supplement with leucine at your meal if you're going to be plant-based or a vegetarian or vegan. The third option is to not specifically be vegetarian or vegan, but be more plant-based, or you could be a flexitarian. So protein blending, which would mean that you would have maybe something like quinoa, beans, and a little bit of chicken, because the chicken is going to contain most of those amino acids, specifically leucine. So studies have found that when you blend your protein, that it actually gives you the same result as if you were to just be eating a piece of meat with that meal. Same thing with increasing your protein content and supplementing with leucine. So if you are going to be plant-based and your goal is to build muscle, you definitely want to consider some of these things. Of course, working with a dietitian is going to help you figure out all the little intricacies that you need to figure out when you are becoming plant-based. It's not as simple as just cutting out meat or cutting back on it. So if you need help with this, I would like you to check out my new program, the Sustainable Sports Nutrition Academy. We will talk about all these things in terms of building muscle, how to figure out how much you need to be eating, nutrient timing, reading food labels, putting meals together for yourself, meal prepping, the whole 9 yards. Tons of information. So just go to my website, elitenutritionandperformance.com/the Sustainable Sports Nutrition Academy. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good rest of the day.